is that you've accomplished here.
Absolutely. So the first thing I'm going to show is the product.
Okay.
The product is from Lego, and it's called We Do.
Okay.
This is an educational product, which the goal is to teach, is to use Lego as a focusing point. You know, as you mentioned, if you knew if there was something cool with Lego you'd be able to do in grade 3 every day, you'd be there. You'd be all over it. I mean, that's really, I think, that's a non-controversial statement.
Yeah. You got it. I couldn't agree more.
What this is, and I'll just make it move. What this is here is basically a simple programming language that looks like Lego, that plugs in via USB to a hub.
Wow.
Into which is plugged two things. You see they just snap right in?
Yeah.
So this is a light sensor, an object detector.
Right.
That snaps in. This is a motor. That snaps in.
Look at that.
And the rest of it is just standard Lego parts. There's gears, there's belts and pulleys.
Nothing to break.
Nothing, well, you try hard.
It's hard.
You can break anything.
Yeah,
but it's, Lego knows their stuff. And then what's cool is that this plugs into the computer, and the kids have a very similar Lego-like experience in programming it.
Right.
So this is a program that's actually running. That when I click play, it sits and it waits for that detector to be triggered. I trigger it again, it happens again.
And the numbers underneath is the amount of time that it takes.
So if and it's all changeable live. So I want to change this to be 2 seconds. 2 seconds one way, 1 second the other way.
Wow.
And I've got a while loop here that's continuing over and over again. So if I just take that off.
Just drag and drop.
Drag and drop. No words anywhere. So you see it's flashing.
Yeah.
It's waiting for that object.
The sensor.
Then it goes 2 seconds, turns 1 second, starts over again. It's waiting again.
Wow.
So to be clear, we didn't create this. This is a Lego education product.
Right.
Where we came into the fold is, okay, here's a great product that's targeted at third grade teachers and third grade students. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the challenges for the typical third grade teacher, if I were to generalize, is they're not used to programming. They're not necessarily used to building. The thought of these simple machines, such as the gears, the belts, and the pulleys, that's not something they're experienced with.
True.
So what Lego needed was someone to lower that barrier of entry, to make sure that the success of the student and the teachers was almost guaranteed.
Right.
And beyond that, and the piece that I'm most proud of is the third grade student experience and the teacher experience. They're with that teacher all day.
Sure.
Right? They're there for science and math and language and French and gym and music.
And it can get pretty boring pretty quick.
Exactly. So if the teacher only sees this as a very specialized activity where they're just building, then it's only useful for a little bit of the time.
Right.
And from a business point of view, that means fewer sales, right?
Right.
So what Lego came to us for was to create not just something which makes it easier for teachers and students to use, but something which is, the term is cross-curricular, meaning it can be used for social science class, science class, math class, and language class.
Right.
And there are tools built into this to do storyboarding, to allow kids to tell stories, to allow multiple computers and multiple systems to interact. And so our expertise, and again, referring to the teacher as the linchpin of our process, someone who can look at this and not just see, well, how can I change that? Well, I can make that gear bigger and that gear smaller to increase the torque, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter to a third grade kid or to a third grade teacher.
True.
What really is important is understanding, how do I use this effectively? How do I break it off? And it's Lego, right? So
absolutely, it just
all
clicks back together.
It all goes back together. And people with way more nimble fingers than me are intended to use this.
I'd be the same,
yeah,
absolutely.
We'll put that back together later. But you get the idea. And so what was really exciting for us is, we've got software developers on staff. We've got people who understand programming. So that's great.
And this is so incredibly simple. It's just put it in, change a number, and watch it go. I mean, it doesn't get easier than that.
That's right.
There's 15 levels I'm thinking of right now where this would be applied. I mean, you could easily eat up a half an hour just building the unit itself, let alone playing with it. And that sparks kids' interest on how do computers work with these devices? How do I make my own little program? They start to associate with a bunch of things because they're touching it.
Yeah, it's very, very exciing. So the product that we delivered was two things, and one of them I can actually show you on the screen here.
Super.
One of them is an online, or it can be installed or it can be run off the web.
Right.
Some instructions. So in this case, this is a training video, a 1 minute and 58-second video.
Right.
And if you listen to it. So this is a simple video that's task-based, that's telling the kids how to do something, or telling the teacher how to do something.
That's great.
So even though we can see it's super simple, I've done this 10 times, I can demonstrate it, I can explain it to kids, no problem.
Right.
But the first time a teacher sees this, the first time they use it in the classroom, they may need some additional support. And that's really where we come in. That additional support. So we deliver a DVD-ROM which can be installed on the computer to allow them to access these additional support materials that are videos. It's the fact that we have. I'm going to just disconnect him.
Absolutely.
He's getting a little annoying. So we have a very simple web page. This is the nice thing about having the teacher sitting beside the graphic designer, sitting beside the web designer, is that all this is delivered through a simple web page. There's introductory material, there's videos on each of these things. Very easy to navigate, very very kid and very teacher friendly.
Right, and you've made it completely simple.
That's the idea. So not only is the tool simple, but the support resources needs to be, and that's where we come in.
Right, right.
Oh, my
and
pleasure.
you also have some books that are happening here, and iPad storybooks. But these aren't just any storybooks. This is where your wife's company or your wife's expertise starts to really play its part.
Exactly.
And you've taken it to a completely new level. So maybe you could show us some of that.
Absolutely. So these are the current offerings for Enable Publishing.
Right.
And you can learn more about these on kidsthinkaboutit.com.
Okay.
That's the website for that. And really what we've got is a series of books that cover different topics of philosophy.
Okay.
And they're targeting kids who are aged 7 to 11.
Right.
Okay. And the way you reach kids who are 7 to 11, you either give them something colorful that moves, like Lego, or you give them something colorful that's easy to read and easy to follow, which is the approach that we've taken with the books.
Right.
So Amy's manuscript, the original, the words behind this, were all structured in an interview format. So we have a main character who's called Sophia, and she interviews various philosophers on various topics in these books. And so the writing style and the illustration style is very, very kid-friendly. The intention is that kids will sit with their parents or in the classroom together in groups or with their teacher, be able to read through this stuff themselves and understand kind of the big picture of what's trying to be taught.
Wow, so history doesn't have to be boring. That's what you're saying.
History, philosophy, the questions like, where do I come from? What existed before me? Those are really deeply challenging questions, both for parents and for teachers.
Sure.
But all kids think this way.
Right, right.
It's really exciting. I mean, we do, and Amy has done in the past, workshops with kids. And you ask them some of these questions, and what they come up with is absolutely astonishing.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's something that I think you're better at thinking about these kinds of things when you're 7.
Right.
And it kind of gets beaten out of you to a certain extent later on. And, there's a real opportunity there to enrich kids' lives. And in this case, it's an $8 book that we sell on Amazon.com and Amazon.ca. And, we also have teachers' resources that teachers can buy. They can get a class set of the books. They get some lesson plans, just like we did with Lego, that tells them how to use this.
Right.
It's one thing to pick up 20 books and hand them to the kids, and then now what?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So very guided questions, guided lesson plans, resources, what are called black line masters for teachers to reproduce very simply and use in the classroom.
And then what you have appeared to have done is you've taken some of that concept of what you've done over there with the Lego side, and you've kind of put it now into the whole book and iPad issue.
Exactly.
Which is
So
great.
we talk about the serendipitous nature of the way Enable has grown and the team that we have. As we're developing web and mobile app resources for some of our customers, physician heal thyself, right? Why not apply it to your own products?
Right.
So what we have here, and I'll just scroll around a little bit, is we have an iPad app which you can purchase through iTunes.
Right.
Just look up Enable Education, Enable Training and Consulting, or you can link to it from our website, kidsthinkaboutit.com, and you can buy these apps. I think they're $3.99 each, and it's an electronic version of the book. It's all the same content as the book, but it's completely narrated, so you can click and listen and have any information read to you. There's an interactive component to all of it. So you can click on a lot of things, see animations, hear a little bit more information.
Sure.
You can scroll around. All of the illustrations are there. Super easy to read. Really exciting for kids, and some of the animations are really fun.
Oh,
so I think in this case, Super Sophia flies in.
Right.
And it's just been a really great resource for us, a great product for us to have. For